Hey guys, welcome to a special edition of Wise Kracks. You guys asked for this, and here it is. Mr. Allen Boston. He's actually heading out of town, but he's kind enough to join us here, and we want to break down some of the March Madness plays that he has and what's he think. And first, I want to ask you, Allen, what do you think? I'm pulling up Don Bester. I don't want to be touching the screen. What do you think of the selection this year? You really didn't say nothing to me. Usually, you're a little critical of them, which is rightly so, deserved. You didn't say much, so must have had a little bit of a better draw this year, I'm guessing.
No, they completely butchered the seedings. But as far as like last year, they completely screwed Indiana State and St. John's.
Right.
This year, no one really got screwed too bad, except the seedings,
Wow.
which are completely absurd. And
Yeah.
with all the talk
Okay.
about North Carolina, they'd be favored over at least 7 or 8 other at-large teams that they let in. So by power ratings, North Carolina should be allowed in. However, by their parameters, their rules, North Carolina should never be let in. So what is it? Either you're following the rules or you're not. And what they do, the committee, every year, I've been saying this for 25 years, is they change the rules on the fly. They just say whatever the hell they want. No one has any, what's everyone going to say? If they're the committee, they go behind closed doors. Here it is. You go behind closed doors. There's a lot of money involved. It's like the U.S. government. There's going to be corruption. And there
Gotcha.
is. I'm 100% sold that there's that this is not on the square.
And you made a lot.
They
You made
can't
a
they can't
good
be that
bet there.
stupid where they give Gonzaga an 8 seed and St. Mary's a 7 seed, and they're
Eight.
consistently so
Yeah.
wrong on it.
Yeah, the 8 versus 9 there with the Gonzaga. Let me ask you this first four here. Do you like anything there, or that Alabama State St. Francis -4, or the North Carolina -4.5 San Diego State? Any opinion there? There was a
Yeah, for
five
sure.
there
I
for a
bet
while.
Alabama State at a better price. I don't think I'd lay more than 3 for something significant, and
Okay.
maybe 3 -20 for a little bit. My number in the game is 6, but
Yep.
I'm not like these are teams that I'm not digging into throughout the whole year because the extra games, the limits are a lot smaller, and I'm only
Okay.
one person trying to follow 370 teams, so it's kind of a rough estimate. However, both teams were very, very impressive in their conference tournament finale. But if you eliminate St. Francis's conference tournament finale, they weren't even in the same league as Alabama State throughout the whole year. So I'm kind of ignoring the fact that maybe they just got hot for a couple of games, and I'm basing it on the entire year's work, and that Alabama State just completely is over them. But that being said, Alabama State was terrific in their conference tournament finale. I watched the team that beat Jackson State earlier in the year go to Arkansas State. I was mega impressed with the team. They have a lot of high level talent and knew what they were doing. So if Alabama State could beat Jackson State, they're certainly going to beat St. Francis, whose talent is really, really limited.
Okay. How about
And
North
San
Carolina
Diego State,
open?
yes, I think
They opened three. It was at five like 20 minutes ago with Chris. I couldn't believe it.
yeah,
How
I think
flat.
one is closer to the truth. I'm assuming the big guy is back for San Diego State. He definitely matters, especially against Carolina, who's got a lot of size. Not that I'm a matchup guy, but it's more my rating on the game is one, and I don't see any reason why one is wrong. Maybe I have San Diego State a notch too high, so maybe it could be 1.5. But the reality is Carolina has been very good about beating the teams they're supposed to beat. And one might say, well, Boston, they're favored in this game, so they're supposed to beat San Diego State. Yeah, but in my eyes, they probably shouldn't be favored. And they tend to struggle in these half-court slugfests. And San Diego State, who's been to the tournament many years with this coach who does a great job. The North Carolina coach is, let's just say, underwhelming to be nice. And I just think it's closer to a pick'em game, and I'm definitely have a decent sized bet on San Diego State. In fact, I didn't even get as good a price as the market right now, so I would definitely
Oh,
encourage someone to take a little piece of that.
okay, like maybe +5 -16 at Pinnacle. I'm looking at plus
Plus
five
five
minus
minus 20
20.
is even better, but
Yeah, plus
I
five
mean,
minus
not
20.
everyone can bet Pinnacle, so
Yeah, no, yeah, plus
we're
five
trying
minus
to give
20.
out realism here.
Oh no, I know that. I'm just saying
If you can
that's the best
buy,
line.
if you could buy on a 5, people do it. Pay the extra 10 cents and do it. Just trust me, the math is right.
Okay, let's go to Wednesday's two games here. American and St. Mary's.
No
Anything there?
opinion. Think the
Texas
line's bang
Xavier.
on. Think that line's accurate too.
Okay, we can go right into the Thursday, the big day in Vegas here. Let's start at the top. Game
Yeah, all the
746.
casinos are sold out.
That's amazing. It really is.
Yeah,
Like because the Super Bowl was not sold out here, so it's a different.
Yeah,
different
I
crowd
think they
here.
predicted that the first week of the NCAA tournament would surpass the Super Bowl at some point, like years and years ago. It was like catching up very, very quickly, and apparently that day has happened. I literally can't get a room. Like my friend's looking for an Airbnb for me. So
Wow. Okay. Let's
you
look.
can always sleep in the
Clemson.
street like a lot of people in Vegas. Join the homeless for a night.
Clemson, McNeese State. Anything there?
Yeah, I think the line's slightly too high. My concern is McNeese with a pretty similar team last year, beat up on all the Southland teams because they lay over them, and then got to the tournament and got run out of the gym by Gonzaga. Now, that could work in their favor. Maybe they were nervous. Maybe they weren't used to the high level competition. So maybe they'll be a little more comfortable in the environment this year, if that in fact was the reason they got blown out, or maybe they're just very good at beating up bad teams and can't handle when they step up in class, which is my concern. However, Clemson has had a home run year. They're playing to a rating that's never been achieved before. Brunell's been there for years and years and years. He's never played. This team has never played to this rating, including the team last year that made a deep run. I think the line is too high, but I also think the line may go up. I've been very low on Clemson compared to market the entire year. The fact that McNeese failed very, very miserably in this spot last year would probably encourage people to stay away from him. And when it gets to 8, I'm going to throw something on it.
Okay. Purdue High Point. It's 8. There's a couple 8.5s here in town. So
yeah, no, the opening,
MGM.
the higher number I would have taken, but at 8, I'm just leaving. Well, my number is what the hell did I make this? I made it 6.5. So
okay,
even 8.5, I'd probably have something on it. But again, High Point has never faced competition like this, and the moment may get them. You know, that's the worry.
Yep. Kansas, Arkansas.
My gut says Kansas kills them, but my number says to leave it alone. So I'm going to leave it alone. Although if I was running good, like if my work was winning at a high rate, my gut would be trusted. But when it's not winning, like it's.
Speaking of that, though, you had a good season. You gave back a couple units at the end, but you had a good season, correct?
Yeah, I had a winning year, which, at my age, I'm kind of proud of. Like, I'm fighting all these sophisticated programs, and I'm just me, immersing 370 teams in my old brain, which is starting to rot a little bit. And I don't have the resolve I once had. It's hard to explain. Like, I don't do that extra 10 minutes of reading that I need sometimes to maybe find some nuance or some edge that other people wouldn't find that would trigger some thought that was winning. For instance, when I read about Michigan, because they had been blown out back-to-back games to end the year, the article commented how he started using his freshman a little bit because he felt like his team was worn down a little bit and they were fighting some nagging injuries. Okay, well, if you're worn down a little bit, now you have a week off to start the conference tournament, you're probably playing back to the level that you did earlier in the year. And because I read that, I went with Michigan all through this tournament, and they did cover all 3 games. So it's stuff like that extra article I read. Oh, there's why Michigan fell apart. Not because I just had them overrated, because they were just tired and beaten up a little bit. So that's the kind of stuff that I may have missed this year from just not reading enough, because I'm old.
And you still had this good season. That's good.
I had it. Yeah, it was pretty good. It wasn't great.
St. John's.
2 weeks have been a debacle.
The last 2 weeks, I know you get some units back. St. John's, Nebraska, Omaha, 18.5, 19, a couple 19s in Vegas here. Any opinion or kind of pass?
I would lean to the dog. It's probably too high. St. John's is pretty good about running up scores, and Omaha won't see anything like their defense and pressure the whole time. They did win the Big East tournament. Like, it could be kind of a tricky game for them. Maybe the first half.
That's right. I was just going to.
I think the first half actually worked there.
11.5 plus 11.
Yeah, I think that's better. Because then if they do cave into the pressure, it'll probably happen in the second half when they get a little worn down. So, yeah, okay. I could see that.
So we got I'm gonna put a bet on Nebraska Omaha first half myself. Okay, and it's a couple places. They all should be up, really. I mean, come on, it's Monday now. But about 4 places are up right now. Creighton, Louisville. Louisville minus 2.5. Opened up. Pick them at circa 3 at Chris. So interesting.
Yeah, I think 2's the right price, maybe 1.5. So I'm just leaving it alone. I will say that Louisville has blown through their rating this year, and by blown through their rating, let me explain briefly. to me, a program with a certain coach is going to play within a certain range of numbers that are pretty limited. Louisville, under this coach, has never happened before. He's a first-year coach. He's also fantastic, but his prior teams, with a little less talent, played to a certain number. So I guessed where they might play to. I guessed them kind of high too, but they've blown through my high guess. So they have nowhere to go. They're not going to play at a higher level. Louisville. There's just no chance. If anything, they're going to gravitate towards what their more typical level is. So there is a chance that Louisville comes down a little bit. Creighton, on the other hand, is playing exactly what they always play. And I was actually very impressed with them in their conference tournament. They kind of didn't show up for the DePaul game, got lucky and won the game. But they were very impressive against UConn. And then the first half against St. John's, they were also very impressive. And then they ran out of gas. Their players had played a lot of minutes. They don't have any depth because they lost a good guard, Pop Isaacs, earlier in the year. But with 5 days off, they'll be plenty ready for this. And the coach is excellent. He might be able to scheme a little better than most against Louisville, although they're very difficult to deal with. So I would lean to Creighton. I mean, maybe Creighton +3 is worth it, but my number is right there.
All right, so we'll skip that one though for an actual bet, since your number is like 2. UCLA, Utah State up to 5.5, opened up 4.5, up to 5.5.
Yeah, I lean to Utah State, but it's no big deal. They're another team that played to an extraordinary rating. I just happen to think that UCLA is a threat to make a big run. I think the team is really, really good. The coach is fantastic. The Utah State coach is fantastic too. He's worked miracles there, but he's working miracles with far less talent. And when they finally step up in class like this, some of that really smart coaching is probably going to be negated by Cronin, who's very, very good. And then the physical edge and the athletic edge may just show, and it could be a little rough on Utah State, but the number is too high.
Okay. Tennessee, speaking of high, Tennessee, Wolford, 18.5, 19.
Yeah, Wolford got very fortunate to get in here. They got a cupcake draw. They caught every team right. All the good teams got knocked out, and when they finally played a good team in the final, the good team had played, 100 minutes of basketball all to the wire, while Wofford had two cupcake wins. So they're in here kind of on a fluke, but good for them. They have a lot of experience, but they're completely in over their heads here. Tennessee athletically overwhelms them. However, Tennessee played the SEC championship game on Sunday. And typically when you play on Sunday and come back either on Thursday or Friday, it could be a little tricky, especially as a 19-point favorite. So again, this might be a first half jobby.
A first half job. Let's see if we can get a first half number.
It's no big deal. And that's my logic for it. Take it or leave it. Like
11.5.
That's certainly a possibility. But if Tennessee shows up, they just might kill them. Like I just think I think they might be a little flat. And Wolford is experienced, runs good stuff.
Do you think the situation comes in with like Tennessee? Come on, they know their point spread, by the way, but they know they're over. They know they lay over them so well. Do you think like Tennessee thinks like that too and looks ahead to the deeper rounds, or do you think
I think it's because we're human beings. They just played for the championship against the one of the best teams in the country, Florida, and now they're a 19-point favorite. And as a human being, you are going to be far more motivated to play the number one team than you are as a 19-point favorite. It's just reality.
Sure.
It doesn't mean they're not going to try to blow them out. To me, psychologically, it could be a tricky spot for them to have a blowout. That's all. It's just a possibility due to human nature. If they're motivated, then the line's probably bang on. But if they're not, and maybe it takes a half of them to get the game because maybe the game stays close, so the coach goes ballistic and they say, "Whoa, we got to do something here." They may just get them. But I might throw something on the first half there. Not much. But
speaking of blowout,
we're just offering thought here.
Yeah, even the sharp guys thought this because this line opened up 27, up to 29. Houston over Edwardsville, biggest line of the first round here. What do you? That'll be the biggest line of the tournament. Actually,
it's Edwardsville and nothing.
All right.
Again, you just hope Houston doesn't want to run up the score. They have no reason to. He has every reason to rest his regulars. Houston's battle over the years is they've had injuries and run out of gas in this tournament, and Sampson's aware of that. And there's no reason for him his starters to be ahead 20 in the second half would be moronic. However, coaches do moronic things in this day and age, which I don't understand. But they don't have to improve their net ranking. They have their 1 seed and they should be coasting in here at some point. So I would definitely lean to the dog.
Gotcha. This number is kind of gone. We've seen Gonzaga open up 4.5 and 5, up to a solid 6.5 now. Anything Gonzaga and Georgia? What did you make that game too, by the way?
I made it 8.5.
Okay.
So I still would be on Gonzaga at -6 for something actually probably pretty decent. Gonzaga should be a 2 seed, just for your audience to know.
Yeah.
And they have them slotted in at the 8, which, I mean, there's one thing about being stupid. There's one thing about being corrupt. But can you be that stupid? Like, they have it in for Gonzaga every year because they're not one of their big-time darlings. They're not in their power conference. They don't have some big TV contract. They do go around the country playing all these games that the big networks want, but apparently that ain't enough because they screw them every year. It's been a common theme that mid-majors, in my opinion, get screwed. And
Right.
because the parameters that they use when they choose to are stacked against mid-majors. However, in the case of North Carolina, they just tossed out all out the window and said, all right, well, you're in. Which, by the way, as I said before, they should be in. So, again, they just do whatever the hell they want. And that being said, Gonzaga's, I'm not a fan of Mike White, the coach of Georgia. Mark Few is brilliant. I don't see Georgia dealing with Gonzaga's efficiency very well. And I could see this getting ugly. I do think Gonzaga, at the lower number, it's like stealing. But even at like -6, I think it's a pretty strong bet.
I think if anything, it may actually come back. So we'll see. Missouri Drake. Missouri given 6.5, pretty solid 6.5.
Yeah, it's about right. I wish these two teams weren't playing each other. I kind of want to bet on both teams. I like both coaches a lot. I like both programs a lot. I watched Drake several times this year. This guy's a genius. He's a D2 coach who brought his players along, and they're playing to like a lower Big Ten level with D2 talent. It's crazy how good a job he's done.
Okay.
But they're playing Missouri, who has had some games this year that are just extraordinary, running out to a 22-point lead at Florida. Like, who does that? They ran out to a huge lead at Miss State. They ran out to a huge lead at Tennessee. Like, these are huge home courts that they're going to and just, toying with these teams. They've had some stinkers too, but this is the NCAA tournament. You'd expect that better effort from them. So I'm leaving it alone, but I would have liked to have bet on both teams.
Okay. Texas Tech 16 over NC Wilmington.
My number's lower, but I don't see how Wilmington can hang with them. Texas Tech is a little beat up. They had 2 starters. They held out of the last game, which was smart. He claims he didn't hold them out. That's what he said in the press conference. McCaslin, both these coaches are excellent, by the way. But Wilmington is kind of gimmicky. They take a lot of bad shots and they don't mind it. And against Texas Tech, it's just not going to work. They're way too efficient. Texas Tech, you can exploit them because they lack rim protection, and Wilmington doesn't have anyone to exploit it. My number's lower. I'm not betting the dog. I can see this really getting ugly. And I do have a lot of respect for Wilmington and the coach too. It's not. I'm not knocking them. He knows what he's doing.
All right.
Michigan. Madness. How's that?
Sure. Michigan, San Diego opened up at 3. So it opened up at 3, and the initial hit for half a second, by the way, when it opened up, actually went up, and then it went way down. So now it's down to and it went to 2. Now there is a couple 2s on my screen in front of me, but 2.5's the major number there. Michigan 2.5 over UC San Diego.
So I did nothing with this, and I had a 3.5 available, which I didn't take like an idiot. I don't know why, because it's Michigan, Cal, San Diego. How can it be anything but? But my number is actually lower, and I did butcher this one because I'm not very good at predicting line movements. And had I thought it through, which I didn't, obviously, because I'm human and screw up, I was on Michigan, as I explained, throughout the whole Big Ten tournament. So clearly my number on Michigan is lower than market. I mean, higher than market, because I bet them every game. So if I'm higher than market on Michigan and now I'm against them, like, all right, just bet it. Like, because in theory, I should be on Michigan. In theory, Cal San Diego should be 2, and I'd be on Michigan because I was on them every game. So I definitely screwed it up. Cal San Diego. So here, you may as well hear this. That Eric Owen, the coach of San Diego, is the best coach in the country, bar none, not even close. He has Division II transfers, JUCO transfers at a very small, brutally tough academic school that was D2 5 years ago. and he's playing to a mid-level Big Ten level. Like the
I turned
team
my
gives
screen
away
off.
nothing offensively or defensively. Michigan's coach obviously is excellent too. Dusty May, who came via Florida Atlantic, brought a lot of his players with him. I think their lack of elite talent is going to doom them in if they move on through these rounds. But that's what you need to challenge Cal San Diego's elite talent. Their talent's certainly better, but not enough better. And I think if it went back up, I'd probably take even 3 with Cal San Diego for something.
All right. Texas A&M 7.5 over Yale.
I did bet Yale plus 7.5. I think the line is way too high. Texas A&M's rating is etched in stone. And the one concern here is Yale coming to the Ivy League was not having the greatest of years. It was a good year for Yale, but not great. And then in the Ivy League, they just destroyed everybody. And did they actually get better, or was the Ivy League down this year, or is it some combination of both? And that's the handicap. Because if they're playing like the pre-conference level, then the line is probably close to accurate. It probably should be 7-ish. But if Yale actually improved, and their coach is fantastic, and they have every right to improve, and they've been through these tournaments myriad of times, the guy is excellent at prep. They have enough rim protection to not get bullied up front. I think the line. I think Yale has gotten better, and I think the line is too high. And I did bet Yale, and think it's a pretty good one.
Okay, that's a good play. All right, BYU opened up at 2, went up to 3.5, which I know you snagged a little, right, on Vacom, and still pretty solid 3. There's even 3 minus 15s at the key sports books out there. 3.5 at DraftKings. What do you think here?
I think the question is BYU as good as their run at the end of the year, where they went to Arizona and won, they went to Iowa State and won, they beat Iowa State in a rematch in the conference tournament. They blew out West Virginia, who was desperate for a win. Like they just played to a very high level, or, are they just BYU? And my handicapping or my instinct or my God or whatever you want to say says that it's just their BYU, and that VCU is played to pretty much the same level as them. Again, they're kind of like Yale-ish in that pre-conference they weren't quite as good as they were in conference, but they played some pretty good teams in the Atlantic 10, and just, they won in Dayton, they won in Loyola Chicago, I believe. They were just really, really good. They won in some George Mason. They won in some very tough spots. And the coach is really, really good. And I just think it's a pick'em game. And yeah, VCU plus 3 to me, right? They both got screwed, by the way, in the seeding. But
major line move. I know who actually just bet Georgia. Someone just bet Georgia. Major line move. You can get right now Gonzaga -5, -15. You'd recommend that, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah. Major line move on Georgia just now. It's just starting to hit now the major sports books. -6, pretty much almost everywhere now.
Yeah. Good luck to him.
Right. So it's good to know. That's one thing about Allen. He doesn't care who plays what. He doesn't care. It doesn't matter to him. He knows what his numbers are, and that's it. So that's good.
So to that point, if I'm doing this, and I've been doing it for longer than many have been alive, unfortunately. But even when I first started, I didn't give a shit what anyone bet. Like, if you can't do this with confidence, like you're not going up to home plate and worried because you're facing, Cy Young. Right. You're going to get a hit. Like, if you don't have that, it's not cockiness, but you have to have some sort of confidence. You have to have some ego to trust your work. I'm sitting here. I work as hard as anybody, and worked harder than anybody back in the day, because I never did anything but this. Then who cares what they bet? I think I'm better than they are.
Sure.
And if I didn't think that, why am I doing it? If I didn't think that, what I should do is I should join up with them and follow them.
Yep.
Am I concerned when there's a lot of money against me? I'm curious. But screw them. Good luck to them. Georgia plus 6.5. Good luck to them.
Yeah.
I'd be booking it.
Pinnacle -5.5, -06. Again, there's a couple of sites. MGM, DraftKings all went down to -5.5 just now. So that could be an opportunity there for some people. Let's get to the last Thursday game here. Wisconsin, 16.5, 17 over Montana.
definitely the line's too high, and I definitely have concerns. Prior incantations of Big Sky teams have been blown out in the first round. Wisconsin, you think of them as that slogging half court team. That is no longer them. They run a 5-out offense with a much higher scoring, much more offensively efficient. The Montana coach knows what he's doing. They had a great run at the end of the year, and the line is definitely too high. But I don't. If Wisconsin blew them out, it wouldn't shock me. So I kept it small.
Okay, so small.
At a better price too, I think.
Okay, cool. Let's go to Friday. Friday morning. Also, it looks like something's moving pretty much now. The whole screen's red here on Mississippi State Baylor. Pretty solid. There were some twos. Now there's all 1.5.
It was 2.5.
That was 2.5. Okay.
It was
Mississippi State, pretty solid 1.5 right now. A couple twos here. South Point stations. Mississippi State over Baylor.
All right. So my opinion, I have no opinion, but instinctively, I think Mississippi State's going to kill them. I think Mississippi State has struggled against the superior teams, but they've beaten the teams they're supposed to beat. And yeah, Baylor is playing a bit beat up, but they have rest. They'll be fine for this game. I don't know. Just Mississippi State's best game just feels like it's too good for Baylor's best game, and that's just it in a nutshell. There's no rhyme or reason. Mississippi State absolutely stunk the last month of the year, like major league disappointment. I thought they'd be one of the threats to win the whole title this year, and they're not even close. They failed against every good team they played, but they're not playing Auburn, Florida, Tennessee. They're playing Baylor, who is very, very beatable, and I think they'll get them. But I can't give you any reason other than my instinct says so.
So right now, 1.5. Would you rather play?
No, I'd leave it alone.
1.5?
I would lay pick for something, but nothing more.
That's what I want.
And again, it's just me winging it. I have a gut feeling that they'll kill them.
Okay. Florida, big line here over Norfolk State, 28.5, 29.
That is way too high. But, I mean, every line of Florida has been too high lately, and they've covered them all. So, I think in the first round of a tournament, like, again, there's no reason that they have more important stuff to follow. And the problem is Florida's really deep, and they use a lot of guys anyway. So even if they have their subs in, it could get ugly. But I'll say this: Norfolk State had some very good moments this year. The coach is excellent. They've been to the tournament a bunch of times now. He has his team well prepared. He tricks up his defenses, but he's in so far over his head here that it could be rough on him. But I'm going to throw something on Norfolk State at the price, not the first half, at the price.
First half plus 17. We're going to leave that one alone.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe first half. I don't know. I'll think about it. Again, it's no big deal either way. Okay. But I'm a degenerate. I have to have action, right?
But you're a degenerate that actually does win in college.
I'm a degenerate with talent. There you go.
Connecticut up to 4.5. Alan and I seen this game -2 when it first opened, and Alan was like, "Wait a minute, can't be 2. Max bet, that's -2." But now up to 4.5. Connecticut, Oklahoma. Any opinion of that number?
Yeah, I'd be laying 4.5 too. As much as Connecticut struggled this year, and you may want to notice that they've won back-to-back national championships. So, yeah, this team is nowhere near that defensively. But they've had moments of greatness this year, and Oklahoma is probably the lowest rated at-large team. The one knock is the Oklahoma coach is fantastic, and his teams don't give away spit, but I think they really are in over their heads here, and I make the game a lot higher, and I'll be laying 4 -20 with Connecticut for something significant.
Marquette 4 over New Mexico.
No opinion. I think it's right.
No opinion. All right, that's right. Michigan State 17.5. 8. There's a couple 18s in Vegas here over Bryant.
Yeah, the line's too high. The problem is Bryant plays very, very fast, and Michigan State doesn't mind that at all. And so whatever my power rating is, because the number of possessions are going to be so much higher, it probably, if I make it 13, it probably means like 16. So I lean to Bryant, but no big deal.
Okay. St. Mary's 4 over Vanderbilt.
Made it higher. So here it is. It's probably this would actually. How cool is this? This is like a cool correlated parlay in a very obscure way. So if Gonzaga covers, I think St. Mary's will cover. They're from the same conference. They both seem to be struggling at year's start, and they both got very, very good during conference. They're both extraordinarily well coached. They both play to ratings that are similar to this. St. Mary's is playing a little above what their best rating is. So they don't have to be as good as I have them rated. But winning in Gonzaga, I challenge any team to do that. And St. Mary's did that after they'd beaten them at home. I wasn't impressed with St. Mary's in the pre-conference. And if they play back to that, then this is not any kind of bargain as a bet. I did lay 3 minus 20 for a decent bet. But I think if I think they'll both cover or they both won't cover. How's that? I think either they're both underrated by the line maker because they got healthy in conference, or their conference just stinks and they just beat up on a bunch of bad teams.
Okay. Alabama, Robert Morris. Alabama, solid 23. Couple 20.
Yeah, that's probably about right. Alabama's plays hyper fast and good for Robert Morris. The coach has been there 15 years. They stuck with this guy. He's had players coached over and over and over. And I'm biased because he's a UPenn grad, so go Andy Toole. But he ain't winning this game.
Okay. Iowa State, pretty solid 14. Open up 12. Pretty solid 14 over Lipscomb.
Yeah, I think they bet this right. Iowa State's very good at their defense is so intense and disruptive that when they have an athletic edge, they can really make life miserable. And they have the athletic edge here, even with Gilbert being out for the tournament. The number's right, but I think they'll kill him. I didn't bet it, but I would have laid 12. I would have laid 12 and a half probably.
This game's pretty solid. Opened up 11. It went to 11 and a half last night. Kentucky over Troy. It's back down to 11. Any opinion there?
Yes, I think the line's too high. The one knock is so Troy, when they stepped up in competition, were a bit overwhelmed this year. However, that's pre-conference on the road against good teams. This is an NCAA tournament game on a neutral court against a Kentucky team that's kind of beat up. And Troy's coach is extraordinary. Scott Cross, one of the best in the country. I know I've said coaches are really good, but I only mention it when the coaches aren't known to be great. Scott Cross is a great coach. He will have his team 100% ready. Kentucky is not overwhelmingly athletic, which is what you need to run Troy out of the gym. And yeah, I think Troy's a very good bet here. The line is very, very high.
Pretty solid 11, right now.
Yeah, that's what I took.
It's another game that was just moved around a little bit. My screen's in red and black. Oregon up to a solid 7 minus 15 over Liberty, 7.5 DraftKings. Anything there?
7.5 DraftKings. Great. I got to make a run over there.
Yeah,
Liberty big. Liberty. I think Liberty wins the game.
You don't have to.
I think Liberty wins the game. Yeah,
there's some more. There's a couple 7.5.
I think they have a very good chance to win the game. Oregon is. I don't know. They started off the year like a house of fire and then just fizzled out and never really recovered. They never got back to that level. Liberty is extremely difficult to prepare for. They played some games to an extraordinarily high level, albeit in conference against weaker teams, but they don't give away spit. I think the line should be 4. And unless someone got hurt that I'm missing here, which is what it seems like, and that wouldn't bother me either, unless it was, I forget the kid's name. I think this is a really good bet. Like, really
nice.
Good.
The 7's even a nice bet for people. Excellent.
I bought 7, so there you go.
Yeah, it's solid.
But it has gone straight up. So
yep.
There's definitely people who disagree with me.
Yeah, Circa opened up at 5, went right up to a solid 7.
I like that number better.
Yeah, of course.
I think Liberty has a really good chance to win the game. Maybe a little money line too.
Oh, speaking of which, Alan, do you recommend someone that bets $100 on a game, maybe throw $5 or $10 on the money line on some of these dogs?
Yeah, and some of the favorites too.
Okay,
money lines might be the way to go. I actually think more on favorites than dogs.
Wow. So you'll say favorites like a 3 or 4 point favorite. You'd rather lay $1.70, $1.80.
I'm not sure. Like that's where computers can come in handy.
Yeah.
Like, because if I have it 3 or 4, I actually have. If I'm laying 3, I actually have it like 5. So
sure.
Would you rather lay $1.70 and not sweat the end game, or when you think you're over 2-1 favorite to win, or lay the points? It's I don't know, but I think with favorites it would. Whereas I'm usually on underdogs. Just my way of approaching it and my old school thinking. The rare times that I'm on the favorite is probably a better bet than most. And for me personally, I'm not saying overall. I think maybe favorites are the way to bet on money lines. I don't do it. I just bet the spread. But
And especially if we have multiple outs, when it's $1.70 here, $1.80 here, but $1.55 somewhere, that's probably the value. Is probably on some of those.
yeah, you can definitely find it. That's for sure. But if someone just watching the show and just you can actually make a round robin parlay on the money line if you really want to have fun and try to win the blue million on some of these dogs. But just betting the game straight and watching it and enjoying it, I think is what's recommended.
Yeah. But I have no problem with what you just said. Normally, I'm against parlays. I talk about how bad it is all the time. However, if you think lines should be, 4 that are 7, I have no problem betting a couple of those dogs for a peanut parlay on the money lines. Have some fun with that, but you're also taking the points, taking the 7. I have no problem with that because you're making the line different than the bookmaker, and your line is better than the bookmaker in most cases, especially, of course, college basketball.
So just to counter that a little bit, they now pay true odds on parlays at DraftKings FanDuel. You bet 10 to win 11, you're going to get 21 to win on 21 to win $19 and change. They're gonna it's a pure. It's not two teams, 12-5, whatever the hell it used to be. It's whatever it is what you get. It's mathematically true. And interestingly enough, what I was told, if you actually could win more. I got to try to remember this. A real old school guy told me this, who was a complete nit. So I assume he's right. Like, he didn't give away spit. Like, if he had to spend 10 extra cents on something, he'd have a heart attack. Like, if he spent $1.80 on a pack of gum and it was $1.75 across the street, he might have a coronary, like, over that 5 cents. Like, complete nit. But what he told me is if you take groups of 6 and 8 teams and round robin parlay with groups of 3 and 5, that if you are a winning player, that is better than betting them straight.
Wow.
And I never had anyone run this, but instinctively I could see where that makes sense, because at some point, let me see if I can explain this so people understand it.
Sure.
And I'm just guessing at my understanding here. This is kind of cool, actually. So if you put all the distributions of what you figure to win at, let's say you pick 50%, well, then clearly you don't want to round robin parlay it because you're just going to lose all the bets. But let's say you're a 60% handicapper. If you distribute how many times you're going to go 6-0 or 8-0 as a 60% handicapper, it's much more than if you're a 50% handicapper. And when you go 6-0 or 8-0 in these round robin parlays, you completely crush it. You win exponentially more than if you bet them all straight. So at some point, if you're a 60% player, you'll win 6 out of 10 on the straight bets, but the round robin parlay on that, let's say the 100 distributions, the off chance when you go 6-0 or 8-0 will overcome, because you win a lot more when you go 6-0 and 8-0 when you go 0-8. You just lose when you go 0-8. So you just lose your bet when you're 0-8. It's the same as going 0-8 on the straight bet. So if you did the math, the amount of times you go, let's say on 6 teams you go 6-0 or 5-1, will overcome the times you get screwed when you go 3-3 or 4-2. I believe he was right, because he didn't give away spit. So I'd be curious. I'll actually have my friend run that on the computer. I'm interested to hear that. I hope that made sense.
Oh, cool. Don't mind me. I was in the middle of grabbing some Liberty plus 7.5 before, but it's going that way though. I see the screen still. I just seen one sports book go from -7 to -7, -15 that I respect. So, all right, let's go to Akron and Arizona. Pretty solid 14 here.
Made it lower. Arizona is good as a favorite in teams that they out athlete, but a number's a number, and my number's only 10, and maybe 10 on a neutral means 11.5, but it still is Akron or nobody. I think I took 14.5 for something. Not a big bet, but definitely betting it, and definitely the line's too high.
Yeah, no, good deal.
The only problem is Akron, when they went out of conference again, this is the same kind of a recurring theme here. They went to Wisconsin, Milwaukee, got blown out, a team that presses all over the place and plays fast. And, Arizona is an infinitely better version of Wisconsin, Milwaukee. So it could be a little rocky for them, but if you trust the number, then it's too high, and I bet Akron.
All right. Colorado State -2.5 over Memphis. Pretty solid.
Yeah, well, the line would have been Memphis. Memphis' point guard got hurt, so I'm assuming he's out. However, and he's a really good player. However, they were better without him against UAB yesterday. So sometimes injuries, strange things happen. You know, sometimes the backup you didn't know was very good could be very good. And the Memphis program is infinitely better than Colorado State. The players are infinitely better. And of course, there's a however coming. However, the point guard may matter. He didn't matter yesterday, but maybe he matters here. And Colorado State, the last month, is playing to a level that's absolutely extraordinary. Just blowing every team out one after another. Good teams, too. Does that mean they're that good? No. It means they had a 5-game run where they played to like a top 10 team. Does that mean they're a top 10 team? No. They're extremely well coached. They have this Nike Clifford, who they say is a first-round draft pick now. So there is talent there, but Memphis lays over them talent-wise. Unfortunately, coaching-wise, Memphis is in a world of shit. Penny Hardaway is not great with X's and O's, but when I've watched Memphis this year, they've actually impressed me at times. Not with their smarts, but with their athleticism and their ability to defend. It's Memphis or nobody. The line is crazy, but maybe appropriately crazy, if that makes sense.
+3 -20 would be the proper buy.
Yeah, maybe Memphis money line. Either I'm right or I'm not. I
got you. Okay. See, now again, what Alan's saying there, money line. So I'll search around here. I see as low as my +120, but I see a +129. So
+120 on a 2.5.
Yeah, +120 is Chris.
Take the 3 -20. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, Chris.
You're entitled to more than that, bro. Like that's not enough.
Yeah. Chris and Pinnacle are +120.
Yeah, screw that. That's too
right.
low. Yeah, take the 3 -20 then.
+3 -20. Yeah, good deal. Let's go to the bottom game here. Maryland -10.5. There's some 10s and 10.5s all over.
All right, so this is my best game in the schedule. I took 11.5. I made it infinitely lower, and I'll put one asterisk next to it that I've been against Maryland every game for a month now. I've been right sometimes and lately wrong, but the last time I was right when Michigan beat them in the conference tournament. I don't believe they're as good as the market thinks they are. Grand Canyon is healthy for the first time the entire year, played great in the finale. They're a program that won a first-round game last year with many of these players returning. I don't think Maryland's amped-up pressure is going to bother them. The coach is fantastic. The talent level is good enough to survive, and they have a very good chance to win the game.
That's nice. So you'll even sprinkle a little money line there on Grand Canyon.
Can't be bad.
Can't be bad. Yeah, you could take
Can't be bad.
You could take like 450 on that money line.
Yeah, that's definitely worth it.
Just worth a little peanut on that also.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the beginning of the year, I would have had this game like pick. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
exactly.
Do you want to give out a couple NIT games tomorrow? Because this won't be shown till tomorrow. There's a couple games you actually liked. I didn't know. Are you down on them already? Can you give them out or no? At least, like I said,
anyway. I don't give a shit. Who the hell's listening to me? What the hell do I know?
I like that. I'm going to talk about
Sanford +8 -15 at Chris. I took 8 -20. So George Mason played for to go to the NCAA tournament on Sunday. Lost an absolute bloodbath of a game to VCU. I think it's going to be very, very difficult for them to get motivated for a big effort against a team that plays a style that's very unique, that's very, very hard to prepare for. I don't think George Mason will have the energy or the wherewithal to be ready for this, and I think Sanford has a great chance to win the game.
All right. They're an H just
that's
popped
one.
Up there. That's one.
And
I know you gave me game 680 and 681, I believe.
Yeah, that's not. Is that tomorrow? Oh shit! I'm on the wrong day.
That's
Sorry,
okay.
that was Wednesday. All right, well that's for right. Wednesday. I like that one. 680. Yeah, the lines moved quite a bit. I wouldn't lay 4.5 with them.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, there's one last.
I'd lay. Yeah, South Point is 3.5. I'd lay that for sure. I might even lay 4 for something. Okay. But we laid 3, I believe. And then the other one is Wichita State +7 -20 against Oak State. The line's just too high. There's no creative thought process. Just the line's too high.
Okay.
So there you go.
Good. This way we give them some other things. Alan, you're getting ready to get on a plane.
And yeah, I gotta get to Memphis.
you think you're going from Memphis and then you're coming to Vegas, right?
Yes, sir.
And you think on that no juice days, even though it'll be a pretty efficient market, you think maybe we'll find a couple plays on that no juice day over here in Vegas.
Yeah, because I think they're going to have to move their line so they don't, they don't have massive risks. Even though there's no juice, they have to move their line so they don't have 100,000 on one side and nothing on the other. So you might find some really good stuff there. And if people hear about it and actually go there,
yeah,
you might get a lot of public action and it doesn't hurt to check it out.
Yeah,
I mean, where are you going to get even money on a basketball game?
Nowhere.
You could play much closer to your number because you're not risking 11 to 10.
Right. Listen, Boston, thank you for having me. We went through this really quick. I'm glad. Get your packing done. I know you're getting ready to leave in less than a half hour here. So thanks a lot, and for doing this special edition. I'll see you in Vegas.
I know, but good luck. Good luck, everybody. Have fun.